it's time. A lot of you are off work and I know you saw that I posted I was going to do a story time. So here we go. This particular story time, I'll first let's do it like this. Just so y'all know, I'm not gonna wait till you come on. Afterwards I do post it. So I usually don't respond to any comments or anything while I'm doing the story time. So, hi. Hey, Eddie Kane. Oh, there's a lot of people. Hey, Glenn. Hey, uh, there was another person there. It looks like they're gone. But like I said, I won't respond to any comments while I'm doing this one. Oh, I done messed up my little thing. This particular story time is going to be a little longer. So if you want to wait till after I post and just watch it at your leisure, I suggest you do so. This one is how I ended up on the streets at a young age. So, hey, this particular one, it kind of gives you some insight as to who I am as a person because it really affected my life. It was kind of a turning point because I was just coming into being a teenager or a young adult, and I was separated from my family at the time. So how it really started was when I had to go to foster care, and we had some inside family issues. So, I ended up having to stay for a while until they could figure out what they wanted to do with me. So I went to one foster home, and it was actually a really good foster home, but I acted a fool. I acted out. I was leaving anytime I wanted to, day or night, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, I'm going down to TJ. I'm going to go party, go do whatever. So, and this is like 12, 13, 14 years old. So I was very young. Um, and that particular home had different other kids there. And they were actually good girls. I turned them girls out. I feel so bad. I had them going with me all hours of the night to across the border to Mexico, man, hanging out at folks' house 2 and 3 days at a time. It was crazy. So they finally contacted children's services and basically told them they couldn't handle me because I was corrupting the other children. So they came and got me. And it was right before they came and got me because I was there for a little while. But right before they came and got me, I straightened up. I was like, you know what? This is not cool. These are really nice people. They would cook all the time and, they encouraged me. They helped me at school. And I started liking it. But by that time, it was too late. They had already contacted the people and the people came and got me. So they placed me in another foster home. Now, this second one, it was a woman, and she had another daughter that was younger than I. And we were in a 2-bedroom apartment, which I'll get to later. But we were both in the same room. They had bunk beds. Long story short, the lady came one day. I was at this place called NA16, and that's a place where they keep you. Actually, it was NA 14 or 10, something like that. It goes by age. So however age range or bracket that you're in, they put you in that particular one. So NA16 was like 15 or 16 years old up to 17 and 18 years old. And then there was one that was like 6 to 9 and then 10 to 16, something like that. So I don't know which one I was in, but I know I was young at that time. So she came and visited. My social worker came and told me, like, okay, you got another possible foster home that we're going to put you in. The lady wants to come and see you. I guess they had me as a high risk or, whatever kind of kid. So the lady came. She was so nice. Oh my gosh. She came. We talked. We went out walking. We went to McDonald's and got ice cream. And I was like, man, she's nice. She told me about her other daughter. She said, the daughter's really cool and good girl and all this other stuff. So I was like, okay, this is my second chance. Now I'm thinking this as a child. You have to remember I was well under 18 years old. So I got excited. I started telling folks like I got a foster mom and she might actually, I think she would adopt me. You know what I mean? Maybe I could just stay with her until I turn 18 and go back to my parents. This is what I'm thinking in my mind. Like I might just go ahead and stay with her until all the stuff is figured out. So she came that next week and picked me up. We sat, talked with the social worker. She filled out some paperwork. And I was there during the process, which was kind of weird because it didn't happen like that the first time. So I was like, okay. So I get out the building with the lady. I'm walking with her. I got my stuff. She's got some of my stuff. We get to her car and she was like, "Do you want something to eat? Are you hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah, I love McDonald's. I don't know why." She was like, "Well, you want to go to McDonald's?" I'm like, "Okay, sure." So we get there and get to the drive-through. Oh no, she brought her daughter with her. That's what it was. So the little girl was there too. So we get to McDonald's in the car. We get to the drive-through, and I'm sitting in the back seat. The little girl's sitting in the front seat. She turns around and says, "What do you want?" And I say, "I want a cheeseburger Happy Meal and ice cream cone." The little girl said, "I want the same thing." So she orders one cheeseburger Happy Meal, an ice cream cone, and I think a juice or something like that. And then she pulls off. So I was like, "Well, I wanted one too." And she turned around and said, "Oh, you just think people just owe you everything, huh? Because you light skin. People just owe you the world, don't they?" I said, "Well, no, not now, no." Anyway, she proceeded through the drive-through. She got the little girl a meal and got me a water. The whole way to her house, she told me that I was fat, that I thought I was privileged because of my skin tone, and that wasn't going to work for her in her household. So this is this grown woman talking to a maybe 14, 15-year old, which, I was a bad kid. I was kind of not really a bad kid, but I was just doing what I wanted to do. I was acting out at the other foster home and sometimes at home too, which led to the foster home situation. So, I think that she was maybe under the impression that I was going to try to do something to. I don't know. I don't know what her thing was. So anyway, we got there. I didn't say anything. I just kind of cried a little bit because I was like, what the hell? So we got there and she takes me to the room. She shows the room. She tells the little girl, I don't remember either one of their names, but she tells the little girl to show me, where I put my stuff and all of that. So we do that. Pretty much stay in the room the whole time. That night, I took a shower, dressed for bed, and just went on to bed. I didn't really see anything else of her. The next morning, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have to figure out school stuff. But it didn't happen. Her daughter got up and got dressed, and she took her to school and left me there at the house. So I thought that was kind of odd. But okay, whatever. I ain't got to go to school. I'll just stay here. The little girl had a desk. So I sat down and I used to draw and write at her desk when I was allowed to. But we'll get to that too. So as time goes on, I'm noticing more and more that this lady just really doesn't like me for some reason. So it was like every time I would say something or do something in her presence, I thought that I was privileged. I thought that I had it, that people owed me things because of the color of my skin. Of course, she was a darker skinned lady, and the little girl was also a darker skinned girl. She would do things like she would cook a big table full of food and tell me I couldn't touch any of it. I had to eat Brussels sprouts, and she would make Brussels sprouts every day for me, and that's what I had to eat. And I took it for a long time. She did some crazy stuff. She used to have me cleaning like walls with toothbrushes and all kind of crazy stuff. So that went on for a long time. I never went to school the whole time I was there. When the social worker, or one time my lawyer came. So when those people would come to visit the house, she would have me dress up and lie. She would like give me something that day to appease me, and then have me lying to the lady and saying everything was cool. So that went on for a long time. And then it got to the point where she started cussing at me. So it used to be she would just say like, "Oh, you this, or you think you this, you think you that." And then later on it became FUB, and you nothing but a little slut, just really cruel shit to say to kids. Oh, excuse my language. I'm sorry. Um, and I started getting more and more fed up. My mother, when I was younger, was a fighter. Like she would just fight anybody for no reason. I'll do that another story time about her one day. Um, yeah, she got locked up a few times. And I used to wish, like, oh, I wish my mama was here. She would beat this lady's ass. I used to think that all the time, but I really just let it go. I fought a lot. And my friend Lynn, who is I grew up with, when I first met her, I had no clue. I didn't know how to fight at all. She even kicked my tail a few times. And finally, one day, when she saw we became closer and she saw people were kind of picking on me, she was like, I ain't gonna be here all the time. Now you're gonna have to learn. So she taught me a little something, something how to fight. And I took it to another level. But at that time, I knew a little something about fighting, but not enough to really stand up and just say, I'm about to tear this lady a new one. So I took it for a long time. I cried all the time and did a lot of stuff. I didn't say too much. I lost a little bit of weight, a lot of weight actually there while I was there. Um, so finally it came to a head. And what it was, and this is a little uh embarrassing, I guess. Being that age, I hadn't come to maturity yet. So once I finally did, um, I didn't want to tell her because I didn't, that wasn't somebody I wanted to confide in about personal situations. I really didn't know what was going on. So um, once I figured out what was going on, it was kind of too late. So basically, I was in the bathroom one day trying to hide my secret, and the woman daughter start knocking on the door. Hurry up! I got to get in there. I got to go to the bathroom. There's only one bathroom. It's a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment. And I was like, well, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. And the lady started yelling, like, well, you better get finished and let my baby in the bathroom. And I was like, she gonna have to wait her turn. And that was really the first. I was so frustrated because I didn't really know what was going on. And this thing was happening to me, and this lady was acting crazy toward me. So I finally kind of shot back at her. And I know it took her by surprise because she came to the door and was yelling like, who you think you talking to? And I got up like, I'm talking to you, along with a few choice words. And so she started banging on the door, and I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm yelling, wait a minute, because I'm trying to clean up my huge mess that I made. And she finally said, if you don't open the door, I'm a beat your tail, basically. And so, the wish factor, it just, I wish you would. So I was like, you know what? F this. So I opened up the door and I was like, what you gonna do? And she was like, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in my kitchen. I said, come on then. And it was just on from there. The little girl, she was maybe a couple years younger than me. She tried to huff and I hit her, knocked her down. She started crying. The lady run back around the corner because I guess she was headed to the kitchen, maybe to get a knife. I don't know what she was gonna do. But so when she heard the little girl hit the floor and start crying, she ran back. And I got up in her face and I let her have it. And she said, well, you know what? You can get out my house. I don't need you here doing all this and that and the other. So I said, okay, fine. So I ran out the house and I slammed the door behind me. Now, mind you, I didn't have any of my things, nothing that I took with me there, came out of that house with me. So I ran out and I slammed the door, and she said, don't be slamming my door, something to that effect. And I said, I got you. I'll do you one better. So it was this little tree, like it was upstairs. So it was a little tree downstairs and a little round. You know how they have the tree with the little decoration around the outside, like bricks around. And then it had the tree in the middle and it's coming up. I grabbed a brick and I threw it up to her apartment and it went right through the window. She said, I could hear her say, oh shit, I'm calling the police. I said, I'll do you one better. I'm calling them for you. I'm yelling up to this lady. So I walked all the way up the street to a payphone. I called the police on myself. I told them what I did, what happened, all of that. And a police car came, but actually two police cars came. One of them put me in the car and took me back to New Alternatives. And the other one went to her house. So I don't know what happened from there, from that point. When we got to New Alternatives, that next night I left. I snuck out the building and I went to a hospital up the street from where New Alternatives was. And in California, the weather is not really all that bad. So winter, spring, summer, fall doesn't really matter. It's going to be pretty much the same temperature. So, and the structuring of how they do their buildings and everything is a little different. So it just so happened there was a building and the ground is right here. So underneath there's a little cubby right here. So you got your hospital parking garage and the rest of the hospital. And then the street is over here. There's a little wall. And if you jump over the wall, you can actually go up under the building. So I stayed there for, a long time, like months. As a matter of fact, I think one time it would rain. It rained so bad that I caught pneumonia and I ended up having to go to the hospital. And by that point I was done. I was like, somebody got to come get me, my mama, somebody. But that's a whole nother story altogether because I ended up not being able to go home. Well, I went home and ended up getting, that's, like I said, that's another story altogether. But so that's how I started out kind of being on the streets in California as a teenager. I was rebellious. I was going through puberty. I was disappointed in the system because they placed me with a lady that was like that, and I didn't want a chance doing that again. So I was like, shoot, I can just make it on my own. I'll figure something out. And so that's what I did. I started collecting little stuff. I had a blanket. I had, I used to go in front of the donut shop around the corner and ask people for money. And people would hand me $1, $2, $5. And that's how I would eat. And, sometimes I would meet somebody and they'd go, where are your parents? They give me 40, $50. I'd have one of my other friends that's older than me rent a hotel room, or I'd stay with friends that I knew from school. So, yeah, I'm probably, and I hate to say this, it's a little embarrassing, but it made me who I am today. So, there's been times where I've actually, this is tough. Whew. I've actually eaten out of a dumpster as a child. Like, I didn't have any food. I didn't have any place to go. So, that was my only option. That was tough. Look at me. That story time got a little emotional. So I've been through a lot. I've seen a lot, as a child, even as an adult. But that experience, that was a life turning point for me. So I went from being at home and having some bad experiences to being completely on my own, And as far as family is concerned, it's not like they couldn't. I was a ward of the state, so I couldn't just go to my family's house. They would have to tell them that I'm there, and they would come and get me. So it wasn't like I could have just went home. Um, and actually getting to go back home or getting to go back with another family member would have taken them going to court and going through a long drawn out process in order for it to happen. So I kind of knew that I was going to just be out there. Um, and I could call and ask for help if I really needed it. A lot of times I didn't do it just because I don't know why. I was hard headed maybe, or I was kind of mad at the world, like y'all all left me out here, which I know is not the case now as an adult. But so that's my story time. I got to get off here. Y'all got me just look at here. I got little teardrops coming down. I hope you enjoyed. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull up the comments. Anybody saying anything? Yeah. Yeah, wow. Yeah, Kamisha. That's my cousin, Kamisha. Hey, Robert Hankins. Thank you so much, cousin, for sharing your story. I appreciate you. You're so strong, truly. But oh, thank you so much, cousin. My favorite shit that fell off the chair. Okay. All right. Mr. Hankins. Don Blanco. Ooh, I want to shout him out. He's got some. Oh, James too. But Don Blanco, I want to shout you out, man, because he's a foster parent. He's actually a good one. So shout out to people that actually do some good for kids that really need it. And he's got some pretty good music too, from what I understand. I've heard a couple of his little songs. I ain't gonna tell him, but he's pretty good. All right, so I think that's it. I'm looking to see if there was any questions or comments or anything. Thanks for being transparent. Oh, you're welcome. I mean, that's the whole point. I want to be able to share my someone needed that. Glad you made it through. I did. Somebody needed to hear my story, and there could have been somebody that was going through the same thing or had the same thing happen to them. You know, I made it out. I'm fully self-sufficient. I'm not too screwed up in the head, I hope. So, there is hope after being in a situation like that. You're absolutely welcome. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for sharing your story. You never know who you have helped. That's true. I hope I've helped somebody. So, all right, you guys, I am going to let you go. I'm going to post this to my timeline. I'm going to upload it to my YouTube. I need y'all to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm not going to do too many more Facebook Live story times. They're going to go on YouTube. So please subscribe there. I'm also going to do some other stuff on the YouTube channel. Myka, aka Butter. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate it. I try. Myka, aka Butter, on YouTube. Myka LeToya on Instagram. This story, as well as many others that I've gone through, is in my book, Memoirs of a New Age Pharaoh Child. That's on Amazon. So if you want to pick that up, please feel free. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I am out. You guys all have a great night. Bye-bye.